Alright guys, back again for another week. So we're going to split up 8.3 into two sections. Alright, skipping around just a little bit, but I'm going to do my best to kind of fill in the gaps with what we are skipping over. But let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So our I can statement for these next two lessons essentially going to be the same. I can graph a quadratic equation. So pretty straightforward stuff that we're doing. So we have been working with quadratic equations a little bit. That's what our whole factoring thing was, and using the quadratic formula. All right, the graph of a quadratic equation is called a parabola. All right, and you might have heard this word tossed around a bit. This is just kind of putting a name to something that you've definitely seen by this point. All right, so we're going to kind of learn the basics of how to graph everything. All right, and what we can do to identify certain parts. Okay, so when taking a look at just the equation, you know that the graph opens upward. All right, when a is greater than 0. All right, so when that, if you remember that a was the number that's in front of our x squared, when that is positive, all right, we're going to open up. All right, when the graph is going to open downward, all right, when a is less than 0, or when a is a negative number. All right, this, all right, just kind of gives us a general idea of what the graph is going to look like. All right, the y-intercept, this is where x equals, actually, let's shoot this, where y equals 0. Okay, so you set the equation equal to 0 and then solve for x. So this is what we've been doing with the quadratic formula and the x method. All right, you're going to find this point. That's a y-intercept. Nope, that's not right. It's supposed to be where x equals 0. All right, it's where x equals 0. Now where y equals 0. All right, the vertex, all right, this is where the parabola changes directions. All right, so up here on the graph, all right, so parabola is going down, and then it hits the vertex, and then it starts going up. So it's going to be your topmost point or your lowest point. So when you find your vertex, you're going to use the equation, the opposite of b over 2a, which they give you, all right, up here on the graph. All right, that tells you where your vertex is going to be. All right, that tells you where your x coordinate is. All right, once you figure that out, you plug your x coordinate into the equation to find the y coordinate of the vertex. All right, and then you have both points. The axis of symmetry, this is the line that divides the parabola in half. All right, it always passes through the vertex. All right, and just to reiterate, to find this axis of symmetry, you're going to do x equals negative b over 2a. All right, and we'll do some examples that demonstrate this. But why don't we go ahead and jump into those? All right. So if we take a look at this first example, they want us to find the axis of symmetry and the vertex, all right, for this equation that they gave us. So I'm going to write up here x equals negative b over 2a. So this deals with both the axis of symmetry and the vertex. So we're going to find this axis of symmetry first. All right, so the opposite of b, we only really need to focus on the 2 and the 8. 8 is our b, and this is our 2 is our a. So the opposite of b, the opposite of 8 is negative 8 over 2 times a, which is 2, negative 8 over 4, which equals negative 2. That means our axis of symmetry is at x equals negative 2. All right, for b now, we just need to plug in this negative 2 into all the x's in our equation. So it's going to be 2 times negative 2 squared plus 8 times negative 2 minus 1. All right, negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. All right, 8 times negative 2 is negative 16, and then minus 1. That's going to give us 8 minus 16 is negative 8, minus 1 more is negative 9. So it's going to be at negative 2, negative 9. This is where our vertex is. All right, so it's pretty straightforward, okay? All three of your problems have everything that you are looking for. All right, once you get done with those, all right, go ahead and jump into, all right, that second example for today. Okay, so hopefully you found everything that you need on those last three problems once you check your answers. Okay, now we're going to actually graph this parabola right here. So the f of x equals 3x squared minus 6x plus 5. Okay, so I'm going to find my AOS, my axis of symmetry. So the opposite of b over 2a, the opposite of b, so the opposite of negative 6 is positive 6. And then over 2a, this right here is our a, so 2 times 3. So 6 over 6 equals 1, okay? That's where my axis of symmetry is, right at x equals 1. And now I'm going to find, all right, the vertex. All right, I just plug in 1 into x. Three minus 6 plus 5. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. Plus 5 equals 2. So it's going to be at 1, 2. That's where my vertex is. Okay? So 1, 2. That's where my vertex is. Okay? And now I want to pay attention to this A. Alright, so A tells you how far up / down to go from vertex. Okay, so because we have a 3x squared, okay, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and then to the right one, and then to the left one. And that's it. I have my graph. Okay, so if you remember from earlier in the year, the domain was all your x values. Okay, so if I'm thinking right to left, what x values can I plug into this equation right here? Or I can plug in all of them, right? So that means my domain is all real numbers, that real fancy R. All right, my range, all right, if you remember, that's all the y values that we can plug in. So I'm going to go up, since my graph is going up, I'm going to start at the bottom, I'm going to go up until I hit the vertex, which is at 2. And then from there on out, all right, my graph is happening, but down here it's not happening. So I'm going to write an inequality for where my graph is happening. So y has to be greater than or equal to 2. Okay, so use that little bit of information, all right, and go ahead and give the next 3 a try. All right, like I said, I will post the answers to those on Canvas. All right, so you can check at your discretion. And I will have day 2 posted, hopefully by Monday night. If not, I'll definitely have it posted Tuesday during the day. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your quarantine time, although it did get extended. Please try not to go too crazy or miss me too much. But I'll have everything posted for you, and I'll see you in the next video.